Good evening. Welcome to today's class of RFIC design. This is your lecture 8. So in today's class, we'll continue the discussion on IP3, some methods to calculate IP3 apart from the formula what we have arrived at. Also, we will look at one or two numericals and a simulation example of how to get this IP3, either it is IIP3 or OIP3. I hope I'm audible and my internet connectivity is also good. So if there are any issues, please just put in the chat box. All right. In the last class, mm, we in the last class we actually obtained an expression for IP3, and we first saw that we can in fact write a relative measure. But when you write the relative measure, in order to get an idea about the intermodulation term, we have to know the input amplitude. So to make it free from input amplitude, or for any system in general, if without looking at the input signal, one can determine IP3 as a third intercept point by the method what we have seen in the last class, which is the fundamental component the fundamental component is taken as alpha 1a, and the IM3 component is taken as 3 by 4 alpha 3a cube. So by plotting those and getting the intercept, the point where these two meets, your the fundamental component at the output and the intermodulation component at the output. So one thing to note here is a compression point was also done in a similar way, but compression point what we have done is 1 dB from your ideal alpha 1a graph. If your gain is dropping by 1 dB, that point we have taken as 1 dB compression point, right? But now here we are taking the fundamental gain graph and the third order intermodulation graph. So if I am marking on the input side, it will be AIP3, and if I am evaluating on the output side, it will be AOIP3. And to get a numerical value for that, we can equate the amplitudes, and we will arrive at this expression: AIIP3 is equal to under root of 4 by 3 alpha 1 by alpha 3. Again, magnitude is written, and just by directly taking the ratio of 1 dB compression point and IP3, we'll get to know that the ratio is very close to 3. Or if you express in power, we can say that both differ by level power difference of around 9.63 dB. And after that, we have looked at this numerical, and we see how the intermodulation product will corrupt, right? So one thing to note here is, so since your IP3 is 9.63 more than 1 dB compression point, mm, yeah, so if that is the case, we know that even on 1 dB compression point, after 1 dB compression point, there will be compression for the gain, or the system is becoming heavily nonlinear. So if I'm looking for a value which is 9.63 dB away from 1 dB compression point, definitely our system is heavily nonlinear. There is no doubt in that. Now, if you doubt about the consistency of this equation, there are two things to understand. The first thing is, in order to arrive at this expression, in order to arrive at a simple numeric simple equation for AIP3, what I have done is I have taken the fundamental term and intermodulation term. But we know that, yeah, so there are two things. One thing is, this is applicable, or this formula is applicable only if the system shows a nonlinearity up to third order, because uh, uh, yeah, so for a third order system, we can say that the system will hold really good, because we have, even when we analyzed the nonlinearity, we limited ourselves to the third order nonlinear, and so we did not consider any other terms coming at the same frequencies. I hope you're getting that point. So we limited our analysis up to third order. Second thing is, uh, yeah, second thing is, when we have taken the fundamental component as alpha 1a, in fact, with nonlinearity, the fundamental component is not alpha 1a. It is fundamental component is alpha 1a plus another term is also there that we neglected. So we have neglected that term of 3 by 4 alpha 3 a cube. There is one more term coming at the fundamental gain itself. So that is what I hope you are getting what I'm trying to say. right? So the fundamental term itself is having one more, because of non-linearity, we will have this term as well. But I haven't taken into consideration of that term in deriving the expression for this. So in that way, this equation or the equation what we have derived here will help as a sanity check, just to have an estimate, to have an idea about IP3. We can definitely use this. But again, why we are not going for that exact value and arriving at that expression is because still we have actually neglected the higher order harmonics. So I cannot always say that a practical system will be always limited to third order nonlinearity. There may be higher order harmonics. Those harmonics can manifest themselves into the system. So for such reasons, to make the calculations very simple, we are writing AIP3 as this. That means this itself, AIP3 is not a directly measurable quantity. Meaning, even if we use this formula to get formula to arrive at the value, that may not be the exact value because of the reasons what I listed. Because we limited our nonlinearity to third order, we also limited the expression, or we did not consider the nonlinear term coming at the fundamental component at the output, right? So there are various methods. So we are not looking for a method where I'll get the exact value of AIP3, but we wanted some estimate to know at what value this third order intermodulation term is coming and fully correcting your signal. So we are not going to apply signal till your AIP3 point or nothing, but only just to characterize the nonlinearity, we are seeking the help of this intermodulation, so the third intercept point, right? So so whatever we saw in the last class is one method. So there is one more method actually to estimate AIP3. This is also an estimate value, not the exact value, but this is also one common method which is used. So that also I'll explain, and then we'll move to the numerical and the simulation example. So again, for the nonlinear system, assume that we are applying two signals at say at frequencies omega 1 and omega 2, and say the amplitude is A in. This is the amplitude which is given to a nonlinear system, and we know that at the output we'll get the components at omega 1 and omega 2, which can be written as omega 1 omega 2, and then we will have components at close to the fundamental. Those can be listed as 2 omega 1 minus omega 2 and 2 omega 2 minus omega 1, right? So input amplitude I'll take as A in, and the amplitude at omega 1 and omega 2 I'll mark it as A omega 1 omega 2 itself. That is the amplitude of the output at the corresponding frequencies omega 1 and omega 2. And the terms appearing here as omega 2 omega 1 minus omega 2 and 2 omega 2 plus 2 omega 2 minus omega 1 are the intermodulation terms. So I'll mark the amplitude as AIM3. So these two are AIM3. Right. So now if I write the component at the output A omega 1 comma omega 2, so that is approximately equal to alpha 1 into A in, right? Neglecting the nonlinear component along with the fundamental term, it is alpha 1 into A in. And if I write this AIM3 at the output, I can write this AIM3 as, since that is the intermodulation term, the same amplitude I'll take 3 by 4 alpha 3 into the input is in fact A in cube is the IM3 component, right? Now if I take a ratio of these two, that is the components at the fundamental component at the output to the intermodulation component at the output, A omega 1 omega 2 by AIM3. I hope you guys are listening. If yes, please put in.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So A omega 1 omega 2 by AIM3, I can write it as alpha 1 AIN divided by 3 by 4 alpha 3 AIN cube. Or this can be further written as this will be 4 by 3, then alpha 1 by alpha 3 and 1 by AIN square. Right. So what is this 4 by 3 alpha 1 by alpha 3? 4 by 3 alpha 1 by alpha 3 is nothing but AIP3 square, the third intercept point, right? So what I am doing here is I am just substituting in that form. So if I rewrite this can be written as AIP3 square divided by AIN square, right? Or if I write in terms of logarithm 20 log A omega 1 omega 2, which is the amplitude at the output. So what I'm doing here is so what I stated in the beginning is the value what I'm getting as AIP3 may not be accurate, but we use that as a check or to get an estimate value or an approximate value. So now I'm trying to find some other relation so that I can correlate everything when I do a design with design an RF circuit or an RF system. So this minus 20 log of AIM3 can be written as 20 log of AIP3 square minus 20 log of AIN square, right? Or if I rearrange this, so what I'm trying to get is in the value for AIP3. So if I rearrange this, I can write this as 20 log of AIP3 is equal to half into one thing. Subramanian, I didn't get. Okay, so one more thing. Can you see the line which I am writing now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. So 20 log AIP3 is equal to half into 20 log of A omega 1 omega 2 minus 20 log of AIM3. These two are multiplied by half. Then I'm bringing the IN term to the other side. So it is plus 20 log of AIN. I hope you guys understood this, what I have done with the this equation, right? So yeah, so now what we can see here is that the 20 log AIP3 component or the 20 log the AIP3 value can be obtained as if you have the input signal amplitude. Along with that, to that if you add the difference in the power between the fundamental component at the output and the intermodulation component, that will give you the AIP3 value from this, right? Or to make it very clear, I'll do in this way. So this is the output signal level of the fundamental component, and this is the IM3 component. Now these are two. If I consider these as two power levels, the difference between this can be written as some power level, say delta P, right? So the same thing is what you can see here, 20 log A omega 1 omega 2 minus 20 log A IM3. The difference between those two, if I express in terms of power, I can write it as delta P. Or if I express the entire thing in terms of power, this IIP3 in dBm, that is a power value, can be written as delta P. This is the power difference between those two divided by 2 plus input power level in dBm. So this is also used, or this is also another method actually to find an estimate of the IP3 or the intercept point of a nonlinear system. I hope this is clear what we have done now. If not, we'll definitely discuss on this further. So consider this also as another method to estimate IP3. So the thing is, if you know the output power level of the fundamental and if you know the IM3 power level, that difference power The half of the difference power plus input power will give you an estimate of IP3 value or the intermodulation product. Sorry, a third intercept point. Yes. So in the Juhi, I read your question. So through this method, through this estimate method, we are yes, we are directly depending on the input signal level. Yes, that is true. That is good observation. Then what I was telling the other day is when we arrived at this equation. So here you can see that if I'm using this estimate to find the IP3 value, we are not directly depending on the input signal level. But for the relative measure, we always wanted to get the input signal level. That was the difference, or what I stated there. I hope that is clear, Juhi.
Sir?
Yes.
But in the formula you just showed now, we are
Yeah.
still depending on P in dB, right? So that is similar to the relative IM measure that we had taken.
Yes, true. Yes, that is very true. Yes, this is a relative measure, and this is here we want IP the input power level. Yes. No, I'm just giving this as another method. I'm not telling this way is better than the other way. Other way in the sense I was telling about the limitation in the sense. So whenever you estimate the IP3 value for your system, that doesn't mean that you can. That doesn't mean that your system. What to say? The first thing is that value need not be accurate, because this value itself, I told what are the limitations or what are the assumptions we have taken over here. So this value itself is not accurate. That is the first point there. The second is the limitation is because we are basically putting one constraint. We are considering only up to third order nonlinearity. Now the method what I presented today, I'm not presenting this as a better method. I'm presenting this as another way actually to find IP3. So in the relative measure value, we are totally depending on, yes, in this case also definitely you want the input power level. Yeah, so here you want directly the amplitude value. Yes, in this case also you need the input power level actually to arrive at the IP3. That is a good observation. Yes, but I'm not telling that this is a method which is better than the other one. This is one alternate method which is also practiced. Okay, thank you, Joey. Yeah, so this method or this formula is also turns out to be useful in many cases. We will see that when I don't know whether we will see that exactly in a numerical. Yeah, but this is also a useful formula. That is why I have brought this into our class, right? Now, but the see today when we design an RF circuit, we have actually efficient tools. Now I will see how we will get the value, or how we will arrive at how we will find the IP3 value of a particular system. So systems or simulators generally have its own, there are various algorithms written for that, so they have their own method actually to, and we will at the back end we do not know what is happening, but still we will get a value of AIP3. So when you design a system, right? So the for all those back end things, the base is these kind of analysis. That is what we are studying now. Right, I hope that is clear. Maybe through simulation I can show how we will do that. Okay, so before that, let us look on one problem, one numerical. Uh, Low noise amplifier is sensing minus 80 dBm signal at 2.4110 gigahertz, and 2 minus 20 dBm interference at 2.420 giga and 2.430 gigahertz. Question is, what IIP3 is required if the IM products must remain 20 dB below the signal. Assume 50 ohm impedance at input and output. Right. So you should not forget why we are finding this IP3, because or how this IP3 is becoming an important measure, because if we have no method to characterize this nonlinearity IP3, the intermodulation products will be definitely corrupting your signal, your fundamental signal, right? So that is what we have seen in the from this example, because your intermodulation product is directly falling on the fundamental component and thereby corrupting it. That is why we are bringing in this measure of IP3. Now this question is to find the value of IIP3 so that yes, so that the IM products will remain 20 dB below the signal. So if that means that that 20 dB difference is, yeah, for this particular example, maybe that is the requirement they have. So 20 dB below the signal means it is good, or your signal is not actually corrupting to that level, right? So can I get the answer for this? Can you try this? So any numerical, I would suggest if you just represent it using a small diagram with the levels, it will be easy to understand. So this is your nonlinear LNA, and it is sensing a signal at the input. So one is at 2.410, the other two are at 2.420 and 2.430, and we know the signal levels of each. At 2.410 you have signal which is of minus 80 dBm. This is minus 80 dBm. Now with interference are at minus 20 dBm, so it is having a higher level. This is minus 20 dBm. Yeah, the question is the IIP3 of this system. For that, it is given that if the IM products must remain 20 dB below the signal. So that means you have signal at the output, which is an amplified version of input. We do not know what is that frequency, but we know that IM products will fall at this frequency from these two interferers, and that should be 20 dB below. Any answers? Are you guys trying?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So while you can try that question. So meanwhile, I'll show the simulation of this IP3 in Cadence, and after that we'll come back and discuss this. All right. Can you see the screen, Cadence screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Uh, all right. So this is the LNA or the nonlinear system what we were using. So today what we will see is how to plot or how to get the IP3 value of this nonlinear system, right? So to get IP3 value of this nonlinear system, what we will do is, yeah, so we will use this harmonic balance analysis, and we will apply two signals to the input as a two-tone test. So that at the output I will get a fundamental component and an intermodulation component. The similar way what we did, how we did the theoretical analysis, right? So for that, what I should do first is I should go to this input component port, and there. So till now we were using a single frequency. So this is port number 1. The resistance is kept as 50 ohm, as we told that the standard impedance what we will keep will be 50. The source type we have enabled as sine with the frequency name as FRF1, and the frequency value also we have given the same thing, and the same value is assigned. The value is assigned in the ADL window. Input is given as PRF, and usually this will be the case. The second sinusoid will not be there. So what we should do here is we have to enable the second sinusoid by just giving a click mark to this. Click to this, and then you will get the second. I have already filled in the value, so I kept it as FRF2. The frequency or the value is also given the same name but with the same amplitude. This is my input setup. The rest of the things remain same, and then I will go to ADL window, and in ADL window I have already assigned the values as 2.4 and 2.44 as two frequencies. And for the previous example in class also we have considered the same thing. So now if 2.4 is 1, consider this as omega 1 and 2.44 as omega 2. Now we will know the intermodulation products which will be appearing at which all frequencies, right? So the third, the IM3 product will be appearing at 2.48 if this is your input. Now HB analysis is enabled, so I'll just go to HB analysis where I can see that I have taken frequencies. There are two tones, and the corresponding frequencies are given with 5 harmonics. And coming down, a sweep is not actually required in this case, because what I'm plotting is a sweep is not required. So I'll show what the simulation is about. So this is you can apply this. I've given, and I'll just then I'll run the analysis. So the same harmonic balance analysis enabled with two inputs at omega 1 and omega 2. And once the All right, I didn't save this. Okay. Yeah. So no errors. Now I can go to ADL window where I will go to results, direct plot, main form. In the main form, I have yeah. So this is, I'll just take replace option. This is the harmonic balance analysis, and the function. Previously we were checking with compression point. Now I'll take another option. We call this this as IPN curves. So this is the function what you need to choose, and there you have certain things actually to look at. One is you have to select a port. So I'll be selecting the fixed R port because the output itself is a port with a terminated with 50 ohm impedance. Then I have to choose a single point input power value. So here the input power I can there are different options actually to do this. So what I'm doing here is I'm considering the input power value as minus 40. Correspondingly, I am evaluating the IP3 value. So input power value is given as minus 40. Then there is an option whether I want the IP3 value referred to the input side or output side. I can take either of that. So now I am choosing input referred IP3, and here it is given the different order. So which order you want to choose? So definitely mine is third order. So I am taking 3 as the order, and now there are two options. So what I need to find is the IP3 value. IP3 value is obtained from the fundamental component and the third order component. So I have the third order harmonic here, which is appearing at 2.48 giga, right? 2.48 giga is the intermodulation term, and the fundamental is appearing at 2.4. So I selected these two, and then I will click on the port to get the plot. Yeah, now you can see that this is actually the input axis and the output axis. The power level taken is minus 40 dB for that particular power level. The fundamental component is growing with a slope of 1 dB per dB, but the intermodulation it is of the third order, so it is with a slope of 3 dB per dB. So both are meeting at a single point here, and that single point, the simulator is giving me two results here. One is corresponding to your IIP3, and the other one corresponding to the OIP3. So which is displayed here is IIP3 because I have selected that as my form which is required, and you can see that the IP3 value obtained is minus 1.72. I hope this is visible, or you want me to just change the background color? I hope this is visible, right? Yes. Okay, so this is the way, and the simulator is giving me a value of minus 1.72 dBm. Now, if you remember, for the same circuit, we evaluated 1 dB compression point. Do you remember what was the value we got it before? 1 dB compression point. Anyone remembers that value? All right, that value is very close to minus 13 or minus 14. So if you look at this, we know that on an estimate, like on an average, your 1 dB, sorry, your IP3 point will be approximately very close to 9.63, 9.6 or 10 dB greater than the 1 dB compression point. That is true in this case. In this case, it is actually even more than that. 1 dB compression point was at minus 14, and now this is at minus 1.7. So this is how we get the value of IP3 through the simulator cadence, right? I hope you understood the method by which we arrived at this value. Now we will go back to the question. I hope you would have, some of you have solved the question. So we'll just see the answer for that before we wind up today's session. All right. So yeah, I saw one answer posted by Juhi. Juhi, answer is not minus 70. So can you just unmute and tell me how you calculated that?
Sir, I thought since at the output it said that the IM products must remain 20 dB below the signal. So then the difference in that 20 log omega 1 omega 2 minus 20 log A IM3 will be 20 dB. And I did it that way.
Can you come again?
So since in the question it says that the IM products must remain 20 dB below the signal, I thought the delta P value will be 20 dB. So 20 dB divided by 2, which makes it 10 dB, and then minus 80 dB is the input power that is given.
Oh, okay, okay. You have directly applied that. Okay, okay. Uh, okay. So what IAP3 is required if the IM products must remain 20 dB below the signal? Okay, let us see in this way whether we will arrive at the same answer. We'll see. All right. So first, let me write the signal value here. So this I call as a signal. A minus 80 dB means nothing but signal, and the other one I call it as interferer, AINT. So now your A signal value can be A signal value is give P signal. The power is given as minus 80 dBm. So what will be the A signal value correspondingly? Can I get the value?
So the signal has the peak voltage of 31.62 microvolts.
31.6 microvolt peak. Okay, that is A signal. And similarly, what is the interferer amplitude?
31.62 millivolts.
31.62 millivolts peak. All right. So these two we are getting from directly from the power levels which is given. Now yeah, now the question is what IAP3 is required if the IM products must remain 20 dB. So what I can write is your output signal so I'm just taking the same expression before 20 log of alpha 1 into A signal, that is uh, that is your output signal component, minus 20 dB is equal to should be equal to the IM3 product, that is 20 log of 3 by 4 alpha 3 A in the cube. I hope this is clear. So this is a fundamental component that the output. From that I am deducting 20 to get the value of 20 log 3 by 4 alpha 3 A in cube. That is nothing but your IM3 component at the output. Right. So in this A signal and A interferer is known. Only alpha 1 and alpha 3 are unknown values. So we can write, we will get the value of alpha 1 by alpha 3 from this. Can I get the value? Or if not alpha 1 by alpha 3 value, I can, after getting that, you can just substitute in this equation 4 by 3 alpha 1 by alpha 3. So if you substitute that, you will get the AIP3 peak value. Can I get the answer in amplitude, in terms of amplitude? Anyone got the answer? AIP3. Any answers?
Sir, is it root 10?
Yes, probably it is root 10. Let me check. Yes, it is 3.16 volt peak.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right. Now, yeah, I got it. Where Juhi went wrong. Juhi, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you got where you went wrong.
No, sir.
Yeah, so you have probably you have taken the output. How did you take the output power level? Because if you want to use this formula, what we discussed just before, uh, can you just explain me how you solve that? Or probably you have you can convert this in form of dBm and check whether both answers are coming same.
Yes, sir. I'm just doing that.
Yeah, please do that. And so you will get AIP3 value is 3.16, and you can get write this value in terms of dBm also, right? So yeah, probably I'm not taking the next topic today. So today what we discussed is one estimate or one method to evaluate IP3, one numerical and one simulation example. So now it is open for discussion. If whatever doubts you have, please post your doubts, we will clarify that.